just what these games are for, right? These are cozy games. This is a video called Cozy Games Are Not Good Games. It's by a content creator named Juniper Dev. It looks like a girl. Cool. I mean, I don't want to assume, but the little picture down here looks like a girl. They have 14,000 subscribers. Let me slide on over. Boom. There you go. Now you can see. We're going to see if they have any good points about why cozy games are not good games. They put in quotations. My assumption is they're going to say that cozy games are good, but like not in a traditional sense, in which case I'd probably agree. But let's take a look.
Why are you ulting? Not him. Or are you just so brain rotten dead that you just can't?
Farming Simulator, my favorite. I actually have that on PlayStation, but I don't own a PlayStation anymore. But I own Farming Simulator.
Games are meant to lessen your anxiety. There's no pressure. No
Stardew Valley.
No deadlines. No
Animal Crossing. Okay.
But
I don't know what this is. Toolbox Simulator?
Go against everything that a video game should be. The whole appeal of video games.
I gotta pause. So I don't know if you guys know this, but there's like a feature. It's my wife sitting on the couch while I'm doing stream a lot. And I mentioned Stardew Valley and then Animal Crossing, and she looked at me, turned her Nintendo Switch Lite, and she is playing Animal Crossing. Do you think cozy games are good games? She gave the good old head nod. Okay, so let's see what this video's got to say.
Games are to make you think in some way, or have intensity, some sort of action. Maybe you're given a challenge and you struggle until you get better. Maybe it's even competitive. But with this newer genre of games, almost none of that is wanted. In fact, a big appeal is the almost idleness of them. The comfort in familiar repetition, the lack of stress because there aren't high stakes, the ability.
So, I think stress-free gaming is a good thing. I play a lot of games that are supposed to be stressful with very minimal stress, right? And whenever I see myself getting stressed or annoyed by a video game or upset, generally I just turn it off, right? There's like good stress in video game and bad stress, right? There's like game mechanic related stress and like challenge related stress. Game mechanic related stress, generally okay. But game mechanic related stress is fine. I think I said it backwards. One of them is fine, one of them is not. Okay, I'll let you guys figure out which one's okay and which one's not okay. And in a sense, I think any game in that way can be a cozy game, right? RuneScape has challenge when it comes to the combat because there's like the elite dungeons and there's bossing and there's questing and slayer tasks, but it's also very AFK and can also be cozy. The way I play it is I just pick a skill for the day and I just do the skill for like 2 hours on a Saturday or Sunday morning before I start doing regular stream things. In that way, RuneScape is my cozy game, but to someone else, they could be doing high APM bossing or PKing, right? Which is significantly less cozy. For me, for some people, that's the enjoyment of the game, and that in that challenge, it's still cozy. Like they're having no stress. It's not a stressful environment.
Ability to turn off your brain and just play. By every connotation of what a video game should be, cozy games are bad games. But they're not, because they're extremely successful. So what they're doing instead is just expand.
Big if true. I think that Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing are some of the most popular games to ever exist and like break into a genre norm. And we have to accredit Animal Crossing to the pandemic, but it was still pretty popular before that, but there weren't people going out and buying whole consoles just to own it, right? People started talking so much about Animal Crossing, I think it's the New Horizons, because of the pandemic, and people went out and bought Nintendo Switches for that shit, literally, because people just needed something to do, and it was stress-free, and it was probably the best time for a stress-free game when you're stressing out about bills, about life, about whether you're going to be able to go back to work or not because of a pandemic. So I think the boon of them happened because of a stressful time in everyone's life, and that's why I think video games should be an escape and should be kind of cozy in their repetition or cozy in some way. Like, I can go back and play challenging platformers, but because I've played them before, like I can go back and play like a Shadow of the Hedgehog, a Sonic Adventure 2, a Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg, and those games are supposed to be challenging in some way, but they're still fun and cozy because I can just kind of turn my brain off and have a good time in them. You don't have to play them in like the most meta way possible. Another good example of like a more modern instance is Fall Guys, right? Like you can try to win every game in Fall Guys, or you can just play it as a big old party game you're supposed to have fun with. And that's, I think, the beauty of gaming is you can do that in both ways.
Expanding our definition of what makes a good game good. Think about a video game where you win for a team.
Valorant is not a good video game. So showing Valorant like 3 times already, I might have to discredit this YouTuber. Valorant is not a good. Elden Ring, good game. I don't like it, but it's a good game. Valorant, not a good game.
A really big world. You power wash that deck. You kill everyone. You slowly get better.
Power Wash Simulator. Oh, Celeste.
Those are
Celeste,
all
good
parts of
game.
Such different games, but what do all those experiences have in common? They give you the sense of accomplishment and progress. That is the one thing that's universal to all games. Whether it's a shooter, an MMO, a puzzle game, or a farming simulator.
Yeah.
You could say that all video games do are give you the illusion of accomplishment and progress.
Yeah, there is. That's what I was gonna say. Is even in cozy games, there's still accomplishments and achievements, right? Like you make your village get better, or you finally get that one village you've been looking for in Animal Crossing, or you unlock more stuff in the city hall or town center in Stardew Valley, or you get 99 woodcutting in RuneScape by AFKing at your computer for 17 hours straight. Like those are all those are all achievements in something that's supposed to be cozy or mindless.
Because it's not anything real.
Wind Waker,
You
good
do
game.
Feel it. And that feeling brings you joy. And isn't that why we pursue accomplishment and progress in the real world too? Obviously, we also do it to help other people and make the world
Nah,
but
I don't want to help other
personal
people or
level,
make
it's
the
nothing
world a
more
better
than seeking
place.
purpose and happiness. And cozy games seem to do that no less than the more established genres,
Correct.
or the more action-packed, intellectually stimulating ones.
Ooh,
That
Hades,
alone
good game.
tells us so much about how video games have changed and what they can be, and also who they can be for. See, video games are one of the few mediums that can appeal to such wildly different audiences. The people who play strategy and tower defense games are looking for a very different experience than people.
Yo, is that Bloons Tower Defense? Good fucking game. Remind me, I need to buy Bloons Tower Defense 6. That game looks so cool. I don't have money right now. Like I'm very broke. So if anyone wants to gift me Bloons Tower Defense 6, that'd be cool. Or PayPal me $20 so I can get gas for my car. Thanks.
People who play competitive shooters. The same goes for visual novels,
showing Valorant.
sports games, deck builders, MMOs. Those are all so different, and people generally tend to fall into the market for maybe a few of those categories.
Yep.
But
Like I like MMOs. I like multiplayer shooters, beat 'em ups, brawlers, and roguelikes. I didn't even know that I liked roguelikes until very recently, okay? And of course fighting games, right? So I like those genre of games. You're not gonna get me to play a puzzle game, bro. I don't give a fuck about Professor Layton, if I'm quite honest. I'm not playing WarioWare. It's not gonna fucking happen. I don't care how much money you gift on stream. It's not gonna happen. Oh, 3D platformers. Also a huge fan, 3D platformers. Not really a big fan of most 2D platformers, right? That's just kind of who I am. You fall into those categories and you make those games your own.
they're all the same medium.
Yeah,
And
they're all
now,
gaming.
cozy games are cementing
Roguelikes are
themselves
fucking
as
dumb in the
another
coolest way.
one
I
of
agree.
Genres, attracting a new
Ooh, is that the Shroom game? I can't remember the name of this game. It's like shit.
part of the
It's an indie game.
population
That game
who
looks
might
so
have
cute.
Never touched video games otherwise. And what's especially fascinating about this is we're seeing a genre predominantly played by women, and outside of
I told you. A genre. There we go. So I hate making YouTubers look stupid whenever you pause and someone's talking and they look stupid. You guys can do it on this video right now, and I'm sure if you pause it, at some point I'm going to look extremely dumb during a blink or have my mouth open in a really stupid way. Anyways, what I was going to say is match 3 games like Candy Crush and Bejeweled and cozy games, vast majority of women players. Like I think it's something like 60%. It might even be upwards, like above 60%. And there's no knock on that. I also know guys who like cozy games, right? Like I said, I use RuneScape as my cozy game, but I've thought about before getting Animal Crossing, because guess what? My wife has Animal Crossing, so it'd be cool to be able to play with her. And I asked her if there's a beanie in the game, and there's a beanie, so I could just like buy the beanie for my character, run around and make my own village and shit. But I'm not going to, more than likely. I don't know. Switch 2's coming out. Maybe I'll wait for the next Animal Crossing. But it's a genre that's mostly designed for women and older gamers. And I think there's something cool in that, in the sense that it means that it's a community that probably won't be as toxic, because I'm gonna be quite honest, the vast majority of games that are predominantly played by teenage men or teenage guys and early 20s guys, they're super fucking toxic. There's nothing you can do about it. Guys and their masculinity, they want to be rude. Me too. I agree. I'm guys.
mobile games, that hasn't really happened before. 69% of the player base for farming and
69%?
family simulators.
I told you it was high. I thought it was 60.
I personally believe the best thing we can do to normalize women in gaming is by making it normal and making it not a big deal. But I
Yeah,
think that this
true.
statistic is a big step towards getting there. A lot of women don't play games because they've historically been marketed to men, which isn't necessarily bad.
Game Boy Advance SP for men. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, Mortal Kombat definitely aimed at men, right? Super masculine looking, muscular dudes doing muscular dude things, and girls in literal bikinis fighting to death. That's if that's not made for guys, I don't know what is. Maybe Dead or Alive. Those two games are clearly very much so marketed for men, along with most games in the early 2000s and late 90s. That's just how it was.
Bad, but it's just how it was advertised after the video game crash in the 80s. But given how much cozy games have expanded the audience,
That game looks sick. It's a
marketing
3D
doesn't really
platformer.
have to look like that anymore. And this goes for older generations too. There's a lot of people who talk about their grandparents getting into Animal Crossing
Yep,
despite
told
not
you.
normally being
Older
a gamer.
people are playing
Even
cozy
people
games.
in the usual gaming demographic who just didn't really have time for it or see the value in it now do. Cozy games are slowly bridging the gap of who video games can be for. And that means more and more people will be able to experience something together that they love. More and more people feeling a sense of unity over the same thing. And that's
Couldn't we also consider Minecraft a cozy game at that point, right? It's like a survival crafting game with like light combat elements. Like you almost don't have to interact with the combat most of the time. There's very easy ways to like not interact with monsters, right? Or even just play in creative modes or sandbox modes, whatever it's called. Um, and that game was really big amongst even teenagers and like I know middle-aged guys who still like Minecraft. Right? Cozy games have always had a place, and there is a way that they can be good, but I guess in the traditional sense, they don't give you that same sense of accomplishment that most other games would.
awesome. The more that the internet has grown, it's become increasingly
Farming
rare
Simulator,
to
let's
feel
fucking
like everyone in
go!
your real-life community is interested in the same thing, or even just anything similar. Remember when Avengers Endgame came out? Everyone knew that movie if they didn't already have plans to see it. I was in middle school when it came out, and I
I'm
remember my
sorry.
principal had to stand on a
I'm sorry. Did she say she was in middle school when Avengers Endgame came out? This is a child. The production quality on this YouTube video is very good, though.
table in the lunchroom and say, spoiling Endgame is not a valid reason to report somebody for bullying. Really nothing can
True.
explain the year 2019 better than that. Anyway, the point here is that there are very few of those cultural moments where you feel connected with a large group of people even without having spoken to everyone. You know that there's this thing happening and everyone's buzzing about it. The release of Animal Crossing was that, but a bit smaller. I had
Was Animal
teachers
Crossing
who would
actually
show us the
2019?
worlds in class. All my friends were buying Switches to play that game, and tons of social media accounts came out
Was Animal
with the
Crossing
sole
2019?
purpose
Really?
of supporting it,
Oh.
showing off your world, trafficking the villagers, trading fruits. Because this was a game that
Trafficking
appealed
the
to so
villagers
many
doesn't
young
sound
people.
very
It
cozy.
expanded the bubble of who can share excitement over video games. This paints such an optimistic picture about the future of video games. I mean, we've seen gaming expand a lot. Games being used for education, virtual reality, esports. I was on my high school's League of Legends team, by the way. I understand
Gross.
that the industry as a whole can look
Depends on the villagers I'm trafficking. This sounds illegal. You can't traffic people. I guess they're not people, right? They're anthropomorphic animals. Get fucked, anthropomorphic animals. Get trafficked. I don't believe in human trafficking, but I guess I believe in villager trafficking.
really pessimistic, especially this year. A lot of game studios making poor and exploitive choices, a lot of layoffs and pay cuts for game developers, but I do really
That's because we're looking at big AAA games. Stop looking at big AAA games and start looking at indie games. A lot of the games that are brought up in these cozy game arguments are indie, right? Outside of Animal Crossing, the vast majority of cozy games are indie, right? Like Stardew Valley was made by a team of what, like 3 people? It was like mainly at first designed by one dude, and then he got like 2 of his friends to help or something, right? So that's huge. This is like one of the most popular farming simulators slash relaxation games, and it's made by basically one guy. That's crazy. This is a small time game that went mainstream. Another example is, I mean, Among Us isn't supposed to be cozy, but Among Us is also a really small developer. Like, just look over indie games. Don't look so much at the AAA market, because if you do that, you're gonna say gaming sucks and gaming's dead. I had that exact same sentiment. It fucked up my view of gaming, but it's
have
fine.
hope
I think
that
we're
as
doing better
more
now.
genres like cozy games take off, more and more people will play games who might not normally, and the market for them will continue to grow. Hopefully in a direction that's not too greedy. Hopefully we aren't just giving corporations more people to get addicted and have an unhealthy relationship with video games. I have
No, we are.
video whining about that. But I will say, of all the genres, cozy games seem to be the least concerning in terms of ethics. A lot of games pry on keeping you playing so you keep making purchases.
The Sims is a cozy game. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's definitely a game that you could consider a cozy game. Same thing with like Roller Coaster Tycoon, Sim City, things like that. Any of those management games, Football Manager 2024.
Microtransactions, DLC, that stuff. But more than every other genre I see, cozy games are the most committed to having free updates and not being $60. And I have no doubts that it's because indie games make up a large portion of the genre.
Correct.
Yes, bigger companies are catching on, but even Animal Crossing.
I wouldn't say catching on. Animal Crossing is
the vast majority
old.
of smaller casual games that you
Animal
see
Crossing is old.
are from smaller studios. Even the really successful ones,
Like Animal Crossing is like what, GameCube? And Harvest Moon's old too. That's also a cozy game, farming simulator type deal. Like big developers / publishers like Nintendo have known forever that you could just make a cool cozy game and you'll grab a market of people that normally don't game. It's the same way that more casual games were the rise of the Wii, right? The Wii would not have been nearly as popular if it was marketed for hardcore gaming, because it was marketed for the family-friendly couch co-op enjoyment experience, or maybe not couch, but standing in the living room and trying not to throw your Wii remote into a TV experience. It made the Wii one of the most popular consoles of all time. Wasn't Stardew Valley inspired by Harvest Moon? Yes, it was inspired by Harvest Moon.
like Stardew Valley. It is rare to see indies dominate a particular category so much. Because in the past, indie games were kind of their own category. They're still an adjective that describe a game made by a small team of people. But
Hollow Knight, let's go.
We used to see with, here on the store page are the indie titles, isn't as good of a category as it used to be, because the audience for these games is so huge now. An indie game could be a million different genres, and now cozy is another one. But with the influx of cozy games, we see good ones, we see bad ones, and there are, unfortunately, a lot of bad ones.
That's kind of how
Just
it works
any
with every
trend,
game,
any
though.
boom in popularity
Yeah.
of anything, a lot of low-quality, low-effort versions
Correct.
will start to pop up. When Hollow Knight first came out, we got...
There was like a million Hollow Knight clones, yeah.
Dare I say copycat games? I'm not gonna call any out in particular, but they're everywhere.
Yes, I will. I love that because they actually put Locust Knight on the screen already, so they're already calling one out.
They came out partially due to feeling inspired from a great game, which is wonderful, but also to make money and appeal to the thought that, if you
You
like
liked
this
that game, come try this one. Yeah.
I made this one and it's the
Yep.
exact same thing. A lot of the cozy games that we've seen come out in the last few years, especially since COVID, have been questionable. A lot of games with shallow gameplay, not a lot to do, that seem to rely on selling you the idea of a game over the actual game. Games obviously sell you a
Yeah, but one thing, I'm going to say that wholeheartedly, this is just a problem overall with the industry, right? We see tons of copycats. When PUBG and Fortnite started to get really big, well, I should say when PUBG got big, Fortnite literally copied PUBG's homework and became bigger. And then a bunch of games realized, holy shit, there's a lot of people on this Fortnite game, and a lot of these Fortnite guys are making a lot of money now. We should make our own Fortnite. And of course, there was varying degrees of successful Fortnite clones or battle royales. I mean, right, you look at Warzone, you look at Apex Legends, you look at PUBG and Fortnite, and those are really the only ones that are still left, right? Most of them are gone. Hyperscape, gone. Realm Royale, on life support. There was a bunch. I can't even remember the name of all of them. There's been so many battle royales. Spellbreak, another one, right? Even if they have their own little twist, it's mostly about trying to hook in that same audience and kind of get them to be, hey, come here, you like Animal Crossing? Come try this game, right? Or, hey, you like Souls? You like Souls games? Come try this Black Myth Wukong. You know, like that's what it's all about. So I can't, and in that there's good Souls likes and there's bad Souls likes. There's good Animal Crossing ripoffs and there's bad Animal Crossing ripoffs. That's how it's just always going to be.
Fantasy, and that's what they're supposed to do, bring you out of the real world and put you somewhere new. But in a lot of them, there's just not enough to make it a fantasy. These games get a ton of downloads, but mixed reviews. People saying they loved the idea and it was fun for a little bit, but it's just not entertaining. That's because the line of cozy game and boring game is very thin. Because this is what cozy...
It works the same way with tactical shooters, right? If there's not enough meat or enough depth in your tactical shooter when it comes to the map design and the core gameplay elements, you get boring games, boring shooters instead of your Valorants, your Rogue Companies, your CS2s. Like this can happen for any genre, but mostly gonna happen with cozy games, right? When you're saying the difference between a boring game and a cozy game is a very fine line. The difference between a good shooter and a bad shooter is a very fine line when it comes to certain types of slower shooters like tac shooters. Or on the other end, the far end of the spectrum, arcadey shooters.
Cozy games have to do. The player should be able to relax and mine or tend to their farm, but it can't feel too grindy. They shouldn't feel time-bound or rushed, but they should still have goals and be encouraged to do
There are
things. Puzzles shouldn't
Souls-likes
require
and
too much thought,
Souls-less games.
but they should still be
Good one.
satisfying.
Shut
The
up.
world should be fun to explore, but it can't be too big or else it's overwhelming. From a developer perspective, think of how hard that is. It's no wonder why so many of these games are coming out and why so many of them just
Fail.
aren't the same as something like Stardew Valley. Because Stardew Valley struck a balance that is so hard to replicate. The game starts with a cutscene, showing you how your character is tired of being a corporate slave, and is given their—
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I heard about this cutscene. I didn't know that it was like in the same pixel art. That's hilarious. Games are supposed to take you out of reality, bro. You can't show people having to work a boring ass 9-to-5 job at the beginning of your game. That's soul crushing. But then you get your grandpa's old farm. So you know, like I guess then it pulls you out of reality because you didn't get your grandpa's old farm. They did in the game though. Go tend to that farm.
their grandfather's old farm. It's in bad shape though, so it becomes your mission to clean things up. And, well, your dead grandfather will visit you again in 2 years to check up on things. And how you go about doing
dead,
that
though.
is completely up to you. You slowly unlock different activities and are given vague indicators of what you should do, but there are no time limits, no direct quests aside from the occasional low
Seasonal stuff?
task.
Isn't there
Each
seasonal
day,
stuff?
You choose what you want to do, and slowly learn more about the backstory of each character in the nearby village. It's extremely self-guided and self-motivated, which is why so many people love it. If you want to be like me and max out the community center as fast as humanly possible, you can do that. The level of rigor you put into the game is what
There's literally
you get out of it.
spreadsheets for
And
this
because
game.
the baseline of
And just so
pressure is
everyone
very
knows.
low, everyone can create their own balance of coziness.
There are
The cozy games
spreadsheets
that
for
fall
even
short
cozy
usually do
games.
it because that cozy maximum is too low. There isn't enough.
Yeah, there are certain things you
or
can only
tasks
catch
are
or do
too
during
low,
winter and
so
shit?
the
Okay, I
average
thought so.
player gets bored. I imagine that it's very tempting as a developer to see a genre defined by relaxation and low stress, and think that it's going to be an easy game to make. Because in theory, you should be able to get away with less content, more repetitive tasks, and you're not tasked with creating adrenaline in the player or making an experience hard. But in the absence of those things, there's more that cozy games need to have instead. Mechanics that make repetition satisfying, and a wide variety of them. A rich world that feels immersive, heavy personalization elements. And above all else, you still have to do the one thing we talked about earlier that all video games have in common.
Give people a sense of
Show you
achievement.
that you've made progress,
Yeah.
and respect your time enough as a player to make it worth it. And even if a game does all that perfectly, not everybody will be satisfied, that's inevitable. Some people say that the seasons in Stardew Valley make it too stressful. because
What?
Then you'll miss out on
Oh no, my cozy game is slightly uncomfortable and stressful because there are seasons in it. What?
what you can do for
That can't be
finding
right.
gear.
That can't be
Or
right.
Passing
I
out
don't
when
believe
it's
it.
late is just too intense. To which I say,
That's hilarious. My character can't mine all night, just like me. Would fall asleep if it's too late at night. I see no issues.
skill issue. Anyway, my point is, cozy games
Skill
are hard
issue
to
is
make,
crazy
which is
to
why
say
good
about
ones
a
are so hard to come by.
cozy
And any
game.
game is a challenge to make. Goodness, you're learning a million skills.
Celeste and
Art,
Hades, good
storytelling,
games.
Programming, music composition, a ton. But thankfully, today's video is sponsored by GameMaker, who can make that process a lot easier.
I don't skip
for you.
ads.
Of all the engines on the market, GameMaker has been my go-to and has been for years. I learned the majority of my game dev knowledge through GameMaker, and that's before I did anything computer science. That's because it's probably the most straightforward engine out there. Let me break this down for you in like 20 seconds. Here you
Juniper's
have
amazing
Sprite,
game.
aka
Okay.
your game
Yeah,
art.
alright.
You can attach code to this art by making it an object. You can then drag these objects into what's called a room, and now you see it in your game. You can also paint tiles to design this room. And then, well, that's kind of it, but now you just have multiple rooms for different parts of your game.
Yep.
You can also see everything you want to work with at
That's very cool.
once. It's never a pain to try and find where you put that script. You can edit your sprites with a built-in editor. It's great. GameMaker really makes the extremely difficult task of making a game
I don't see ads. This is
simple
an
as it
ad.
can be. It gives you a great
This
foundation
is their sponsor.
so you can focus on the important stuff, like telling a story and making your game stand
I think this is a cool sponsor to have when talking about video games. Having a video game sponsor.
And so was Nuclear Throne and Zero Servert and just a ton of really good indie
awesome.
titles.
Zero
Game
Servert
Maker
is really cool.
Free to use for non-commercial games, and if you do want to eventually sell a game, it's a one-time fee for professional use. There's options to publish to PC, web, mobile, or console, so everyone can have the
I've never played
opportunity to
Undertale.
play your
I know
game.
it's a cult
Download
classic
Game
though.
Maker for free using the link in the description. Indie games as a whole are on the rise, and as a self-proclaimed indie enthusiast who has an entire channel dedicated to them,
I'm slowly
really
becoming an
excited.
indie enthusiast as
2020
well.
is the year that cozy games really took hold of society.
Like, I didn't realize this. I didn't really think about it, but Rumble Club is indie. And it's like my most played game in the past like 2 months. Right? And then before that I was super hyped for Outrage, which unfortunately didn't pan out the way the developers wanted it to, but also indie. Let's go. Been playing a lot of Lost Castle. Is super fun. It's an older indie game, but it's indie nonetheless. And it's a roguelike. I think most roguelikes are indie, actually.
And so a lot of cozy games came out around then that were underpolished.
That's another genre that has varying degrees of
but now that we're getting
games,
close to the 4 to
right? Like
5
you'll have like a good roguelike or you'll have a bad
I
one.
think
A
we're
very
seeing
bad
more
one.
games
That's
that
fine
have
balance.
longer development periods that are going to be higher quality. Obviously, we've had cozy games come out even before 2020, and not all of them were a result of COVID, but it is insane how much of a marker COVID was for gaming history. I made some incredible friends in that period, and I bonded with them a lot over cozy games. So trust me, I owe a lot to them, and I know a lot of people who feel the same way. A lot of couples who are able to really get into playing games together. Parents who found a new way to bond with their kids.
With their kids? Yeah, that's a good
People
idea
who
too.
might not have had a lot of friends in real life found communities online. That interactive connection.
Not only did they find communities, they found communities that are usually less toxic than traditional gaming communities, right? Like, if you find a group of friends that play the same game as you, that's like a more relaxing game, they're generally going to be more relaxed while playing said game, right? But if you find a group of gamers all playing, I don't know, a competitive shooter, let's say Overwatch, for instance, those motherfuckers are going to be so gormless and mad all the time because either A, they're gooners and they're playing Overwatch one-handed, or B, they're mad because they changed something new about my favorite hero in the game, or oh my gosh, they're changing the way that the 5v5 is going back to 6v6 or some shit like that, right? You don't really have to worry about that with cozy games, and that's cool. You can also try to find a game that is not supposed to be cozy and play it in a cozy way. People go back and play old boomer shooters in the same way that some people play cozy games, right? They go back and play Doom 1 and Doom 2, or they play a lot of those boomer shooter-esque spin-offs, and that's just how it works. Me with Kinessa and Furia in Paladins. Come on, man. You don't... Come on, you didn't have to say all that, bro.
So beautifully unique to games, and I don't think...
No wonder you always do bad when you're playing Kinessa. Put your other fucking hand on the controller.
The next few years, I think more people are going to find something for them. But anyway, that's all that I have for today. I hope I gave you some little tidbits, some little nuggets to think about. If you're interested in the world of game development or indie games, please subscribe. It would mean the world.
If I'm not constantly mad at my hobby, I'm not enjoying it. God, you sound like a fucking Yu-Gi-Oh player so much, dude. That might be the most Yu-Gi-Oh player thing, or like Valorant or League of Legends thing I've ever heard. If I'm not fucking mad, why am I playing?
I love this stuff with my whole heart, and I hope I can show that in videos like these, and hopefully even inspire developers out there. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye!
That was a good video. Very well put together. I really like all of the points that she made. I think you guys should give this video a like. I'm going to give this video a like. 14,000 subscribers? That's really good. I think this is a great channel. I hope they put out more movies for me to steal content for, because this one was really good. I'm gonna hit the subscribe button. I think you guys should too. Do you guys think cozy games are bad games? I think cozy games break the traditional norm of what a game is supposed to make you feel. But in that way, I think it's a good thing, and I really like that, because gaming should be for everyone and shouldn't be this like masculine only hobby. I think we need more games. Hey, what up, Breezy? I think we need more games that appeal to a casual and more women-focused or older people audience. I think a game back in the day that I would have considered a cozy game is something like Pokemon, right? Especially Pokemon Snap or something like the Pokemon Go series now, right? They're not super high octane or high adrenaline. There's not some amount of I'm trying to think of an emotion they're supposed to get out of you that's generally going to be a heightened one that like makes your heart rate. I'm trying to like heart race. I'm trying to think of how to put it, but I can't, right? And I think it's in that idea that I can't think of how to describe a game that I would generally consider it a cozy game, right? I'm not like, oh, I need to be very high APM in Pokemon, right? Unless you're a speedrunner, you can generally just enjoy a game like Pokemon very casually. Even more so than you can enjoy something like a Mario or a Sonic casually, because there is an end goal. It is beating the level. It is beating the bosses. It is making it through to the end without running out of lives. Not really something you have to worry about as much in Pokemon. I like cozy games. I like the idea of them. I usually find my own games that I can consider cozy games. Even in some multiplayer aspect games, I still play them in a way where I'm not supposed to be mad or not really caring to be mad. And I think that's a good thing. But the actual idea of these farming simulators and life simulators, I think those are really cool too. Sims, Animal Crossing. I'm trying to think of one that's not Stardew Valley off the top of my head. Minecraft, right? Things like that. Really cool games.